Welcome to Spotlight in Business. I'm Tammy Defoe, President and founder of GTApreneurs. I'm happy to introduce to you today Daryl Ching. He's a CFA and the founder and owner of Vistance Capital Advisory, and he will be the guest speaker at GTApreneurs' next business networking event at Improve Canada in Vaughan, one block north of Toronto. That's Tuesday, March 26th from 5 till 8 p.m. You want to be there, meet Daryl in person, hear his great presentation, and of course, network for your business. So thanks for coming on the show today, Daryl. How are you?
No problem. Thank you, Tammy. I'm doing fantastic. How about you?
Very well. Yeah, thanks for asking. I'm great, thanks, especially with the nice warm weather today. It's amazing. We have like the early spring, right?
That's true, but you know what? We know that winter goes till April.
That's true. Anything can happen. You know what? I remember 2 years ago we have snow on May 2nd,
Yep.
right? I mean, it didn't last, but still, it's like, what on earth is this, right?
Yeah.
But we'll just have to enjoy the days that are warm for now.
We'll take it.
We'll take it, right? Excellent. So look, I want everybody to get to know you a little bit more before they hear your presentation on Tuesday at the end of the month. So please tell us more.
For sure, Tammy. My background is actually in investment banking. So people are surprised to know that I didn't start in accounting. So I was working at RBC Capital Markets, doing debt and equity financing, and moved my way to smaller and smaller investment banks. Eventually, I made my way to a small investment bank, and we were doing Series A equity financing for small businesses. So capital raises in the range of $3 to $10 million for early stage companies. And that's where I really found my calling because I found that a lot of businesses at this stage needed a lot of help. This was their first time doing financial projections, first time doing a business plan, first time doing an investor presentation. So I actually launched my consulting firm to help companies with these documents at this early stage of financing. That's how Vistance was started.
Mhm. Yeah, excellent. So, do you specialize in a particular industry or open to any industry?
We are open to all industries, but maybe I'll talk a little bit more about how we kind of moved our way into accounting.
Sure.
So we were doing capital raising services for small businesses, and we were successful in getting term sheets from investors. And it wasn't too long before a few of our deals fell through the cracks, to my horror. And when I found out what was happening during due diligence, it was discovered that a few of my clients had messy financial statements. So I looked into why, and I realized that a lot of small businesses have a bookkeeper and they've got an accountant that shows up once a year to do their taxes.
Right.
But nobody really asks any real questions in the interim. So questions like, hey, do you have any R&D that should be capitalized as an intangible asset on the balance sheet? That often doesn't get asked by a bookkeeper. Or do
Mhm.
you have personal expenses that you use for your credit card, so I should book a shareholder loan? And it
Right.
is often these types of balance sheet transactions that get missed. And during due diligence, your financial statements don't match the story, don't match what you're telling the investor. A deal falls apart. So we realized that we needed to start helping entrepreneurs with investor ready financial statements, which to me is a much different standard than just good enough for CRA or just good enough for tax purposes. So
Mhm.
that's how I got into accounting, was when we noticed this gap in the marketplace. To take it a step further, when we were successful in getting capital for our clients, we would often ask them what their plan was to deploy the capital. And
Mhm.
a lot of times there wasn't one because the most senior person in their firm was a bookkeeper or a junior accountant. So they were making large business decisions like pivoting their business strategy or expanding into a new country without doing a budget. So that's where we started launching into CFO services, where I
Mhm.
would say, hey, engage me for 5 hours a month, and let's make sure we just put some process and budget around a large cash flow decision to
Mhm.
make sure that we're making this decision prudently.
Yeah.
And then the final piece of our business offering, which is kind of morphed into the majority of our business now, is what I call operational accounting. If you ask any business owner, do you do monthly financial statements? The answer is often no, or yes, but I don't really look at them.
Right.
So, so from our perspective, we started helping companies with generating monthly financial statements that have KPIs, dashboards, management metrics, gross profit margin tracked every month by product, by service, information that actually becomes useful to an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
And then so they start looking forward to getting this information every month. That way, in real time, we're providing advice to help companies improve their profit, and
Mhm.
we're not waiting until year end where they look at their financial statements and are surprised after a year of poor performance. And that's what we want to avoid. So that's really how we're different. We've now morphed into more of an accounting firm,
Mhm.
but I would say that we're like collaborative, and we're more of an operational accounting firm than the typical accounting firm that just shows up at year end and does your taxes.
Mhm. So how does that work with the funding? Like, does your firm also provide funding to people, or you connect people with the investors? How does that work?
So typically we help with the content creation. So there are three key documents when it comes to capital raising. It
Mhm.
is an investor presentation, a business plan, and 3 to 5 year financial projections.
Okay.
I would say the 3 to 5 year financial projections is where entrepreneurs struggle the most in the capital raise process, especially year 2, 3, 4, and 5. A lot of people know how to plan out year one, but if you have an investor presentation that says we will establish a manufacturing facility in-house in year 3, then we need to see CapEx in the financial model in year 3, and you will need to have done some research as to what establishing a manufacturing facility might cost, even though it's way in the future. So what we do is we help companies look more prepared and look like this is the right CEO in the right seat when the company grows to 15 people, 50 people, 100 people. And that's really where we help out. In terms of introductions, we're not set up as an agency, so we don't make introductions for success fees, but we're connected with angel networks, with accelerators, with investors, with different groups, and often we help make introductions to fill gaps.
Nice. That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I know in the past, I had hired a bookkeeper, right? Even accountants who are doing bookkeeping, but it was like, okay, they're doing a bunch of stuff in QuickBooks, but how does that really help me? I mean, like I just nothing was being explained to me, right? It was just like, um, okay, I fulfilled my obligation to the government by submitting my HST and my taxes and stuff like that, but there was none of that advisory stuff. So now I have an accountant that does provide that, and it makes all the difference in the world. So I know there's other people out there as well who are not getting that monthly advice and direction, right? So you just kind of keep doing the same thing year after year, and if you have that person who could be kind of like a coach as well, right? It can really help you get to the next level. And again, save money and save time. It's like, well, look at you're spending all this time doing this and all this money, but is that actually giving you the return you want,
That's
right?
true. And Tammy, maybe if I can make this message a bit more relatable to your group, your demographic, because I know
Yeah.
GTApreneurs has a lot of sole proprietors.
Mhm.
But what are sole proprietors thinking right now? They're like, okay, I am providing consulting services to a few businesses. I'm not having a lot of time to generate sales because I'm busy fulfilling contracts as a contractor.
Mhm.
So how do I grow my business? And a lot of times there's questions like, how much can I afford to pay myself? What do I need to put aside if I want to hire a full-time employee? And those questions are not easy to answer. And a lot of times, if you're just punching a report out of QuickBooks and not doing any work around it, it's very
Mhm.
difficult to plan. So from our perspective, when we work with much smaller businesses, we try to do a forecast out a year, and sometimes we'll have the message, okay, listen, you may need to sacrifice salary for 1 year, but if you really want to grow, the next position you need to hire is a full-time salesperson. This is the budget you need for a salesperson.
Right.
Once you get that salesperson in, they will start generating a funnel and you're going to start generating more sales. But these are the types of decisions that we collaboratively help small businesses make. And it is beyond just showing up, doing the financial statements, and filing a T2 with CRA. It's actually sitting down, understanding the business, knowing what the requirements are, and collaboratively working with our clients so they can actually grow and turn it into a firm that employs 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, help with capital raise if that's required.
Mhm. Yeah, sales staff, that's I think every business owner I know wants a sales staff, right? So it is though, it's an investment, and that's something that's, you have advice and be able to help people to try to figure out how to get that going. But definitely that makes all the difference in the world. I've heard from I don't know what company it was Bell or whatever. They're basically like the sales department's the engine of the company. If the sales is not generating anything department, then you know what, your business isn't going anywhere.
That's right.
So, yeah, but I think it's really cool that, you do have that investor focus. So a lot of accountants and bookkeepers that they're really good out there, but they're just kind of like the regular maintaining in that, right? And they'll give you advice. But the fact that you can help people with doing the presentations and the business plan and all these things, for in terms of investing in their future. So I think that's really unique.
Yeah, and Tammy, I think I draw on my own experience because I started as a sole proprietor.
Mhm.
I was a one-man show providing consulting services to companies that needed capital raising.
Mhm.
But what I realized myself was, what's my end game? Like, I can do this. It's good income. There's no overhead because I'm not having to employ anybody. but I'd work on 3 or 4 contracts. I'd wrap up my projects, and all of a sudden I would have no work to do, and I would be scrambling to do sales. So I knew that this was not a sustainable business model for me. So
Mhm.
I knew that I needed to hire people to help do the work so that I decided I want to do business development and sales. So I need people to do the accounting work.
Right.
And B, I wanted a revenue stream that was recurring revenue.
Mhm.
Just doing capital raising and completing those projects as one time.
Right.
Discovering accounting was a recurring revenue model that where I get a steady cash flow stream that I can rely on, which
Mhm.
helps in terms of hiring people full time. So I
Mhm.
went through this entire process myself, and I think I draw on a lot of this experience as an entrepreneur and a business owner myself to help other business owners that are trying to do the same thing.
Mhm. Nice. Yeah, that's fantastic. Sounds great. Well, look, I'm really looking forward to your presentation on Tuesday. Yeah, any other thing you want to share? Like, is there some kind of example you can give of a business owner that you've helped them improve their business?
For sure. I have several business owners that have started as either sole proprietors or small businesses with 1 or 2 contractors.
Mhm.
And we've actually gone through and mapped out a sales forecast, mapped out projections, and said, okay, if you hit these milestones, then you should go ahead and make this higher. But I think it all starts with my first question is, what's your goal for your business ultimately?
Right.
And the second question I always like to ask is, what's your superpower? As a business owner, what do you need to be doing in your business? What does your focus need to be on?
Mhm.
And we make sure that you are focused on what you do best, and we hire people to do the rest of the work so that
Mhm.
you are basically maximized in terms of the value that you're bringing to the organization.
Mhm.
So that's a very important exercise for us is to understand your position, understand your business before we get started. And I think this is where a lot of accountants fall, is they don't get to know the business owners, get to know the business, get to know the goals, and they just
Mhm.
start giving advice where it's different for every business, every individual.
Mhm.
So it starts with a conversation about knowing what are your goals and what do you need to be doing.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that superpower. I've never heard that before, but that
Mhm.
is, it really brings a lot of clarity there, right? So, what do you want to spend your time doing? And then, get out of the weeds basically, right? How can you get other things done so you can shine? And when you're shining, you're happy and you're doing your thing, more money's going to flow.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Fantastic. Good. I'm going to examine that a little bit more, Daryl. It's always good for everybody to reflect on their business and see what they can do differently and how they can grow. And I mean, I kind of already had these things in my mind, anyways. A lot of big, new, exciting things coming for GTApreneurs. But yeah, so it sounds like you can help a lot of people out there. It's great, everybody. You definitely want to come meet Daryl on March 26th and hear his presentation. And if you're looking for an accountant or looking for a better accountant, then reach out to Daryl. It sounds like they provide great service. So
Thank you,
thank
Tammy. Really appreciate the opportunity. I'm really looking forward to meeting a group of entrepreneurs. I mean, they are the engine of our economy.
Mhm.
We're thankful that there are people that are willing to take risks and start a business out there.
Mhm.
And so any help we can provide to help level the playing field, we're happy to provide it.
Awesome. Well, look at you. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thank you, Tammy.